Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready. And today we thought we'd talk about the Vermindoom.
Rats!
So what's the Vermindoom, Drake?
When the rats come up from Blight City and into Action Gur at the same time and go.
Yep. So it's the narrative hook. It's the big thing that's kicking off 4th edition.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. I like the idea of realms colliding. I like the idea of a major Skaven menace. I mean, there's billions and billions and billions of them, right? So I think that's super cool. But the question is, are we going to see that actually reflected on the tabletop?
If they did, what would you do?
I gotta. So maybe they'll. So by the time this goes live, maybe they'll have changed some things or revealed some things.
Yeah.
But at least as of recording, I think the answer is no. I would have anticipated that the first season of the General's Handbook would have like Vermindoom rules, but the small preview we got of the GHB was not that. The small preview we got was a fairly light touch on what the standard game is, which is good. I think that's good for a first GHB. But what does that mean for the rats? How are we going to show that all these guys that are fighting, even if it's not Stormcaster Skaven, that they are fighting amongst the Vermindoom? So maybe whether it comes in the form of a GHB, or whether it comes in the form of like how in 3rd edition you could flip all the way to the back and there were siege rules and stuff like that, right? Maybe it's something like that. But how should the Vermindoom be reflected on tabletop?
I think what they should do is have a D6 chart, and one is like you're fighting amongst a warp lightning storm. So you at the start of every turn you roll a die on a 7+, adding the number of the battle round. That guy gets zapped by warp lightning, taking D3 mortal damage.
That's a lot of extra rollings, but that would be cool to be in a warp lightning storm.
Yep, a 2 could
because the stuff is coming up, but they're bringing Blight City and the chaos with them, right? That's why it's so tragic. So having that sort of impacting the units on the board, that's pretty cool. Even though there's no Skaven around, right? The warp storms are still happening. That's cool.
One thing you could have is for like one of the rolls could be you pick one corner of the battlefield on a die roll, and on a battle round on a D6, except
I got you.
Nahul bursts, and you have this separate table showing one unit of some Skaven unit just popping out.
That would be really cool. Now, you like endless spells, right? It would require you to go buy a unit like Skaven, especially if you're not a Skaven player.
Yep.
Like, oh shoot, I gotta go get those Skaven units so I can play this mode. But I think it would be cool to have a Skaven unit, and you could make it like not a whole army where they're all gonna fight together.
Yeah.
But maybe a smaller unit, and it would be especially cool to have like an Eshin unit, right? Because they're supposed to be the ninjas anyway. So it's a little bit silly for them to be up in ranked formation like a whole battle, because that's not the Eshin way. The Eshin way is ninja, right? So maybe you have a unit of Eshin, and maybe if you're the active player and you're taking your turn, and I'm the inactive player, I'm the opponent, then maybe I can spend my command points to have that unit do stuff, right? So I could make them countercharge you, right? And I can make them do whatever. And then on my off turn, then your turn, I control them and do stuff. Then when it turns to your turn, now you're controlling them and having them do stuff. And I think something like that would be pretty cool, because it would be there's just the Skaven out there sowing chaos, messing up everybody's plans, but not really controlled by either of us.
One thing I would say for Skaven is they have a very simple AI of they run towards the nearest thing.
Yeah, you could just create an AI thing for them too.
Yeah, otherwise they stay close to the novel.
Yeah, you could totally do that and say this is how this unit operates. We played many moons ago in 2nd edition. We played that co-op version that they came out with in White Dwarf, which is fun. It was fine. And so they were able to create simple AIs for that. I'm sure they could do something similar. What else do you think?
One thing you could have is 2 armies ranked up like this, one here, one there. Except this could be even a battle plan, except there's what's going on is there's like a migration of rats. Like little normal rats happening.
Yeah, I would love to see.
You have to fight through them. Sometimes they turn hostile and night norm on you.
Yeah, even if they didn't come up with greater rules for here's the Vermindoom, battle pack, and here's 6 Vermindoom battle plans. Even if they came up with a couple of battle plans where rats were swarming, or where you didn't know at any point you controlling the objectives, but on a 5-up, and an objective explodes and a piece of Blight City pops out, and it's like damages everybody who's on it, or you can do all kinds of cool stuff like that. I think. Actually, now that I say that out loud, I kind of like that idea. There's little pieces of Blight City popping up, so you replace the objective with a terrain piece or something.
Yeah, like a knothole, and the knothole
for sure.
Yeah, and it is not an objective anymore. It is gone.
Yes, it is gone.
And another thing could be like on 7+, adding the battle round, rats come out.
Well, yeah, you could definitely have it be something damaging, right? So no matter who had it before, you were trying to get onto it, but now that it's exploded, everyone's trying to get away from it. It's like, we don't want any of this nonsense. I think something like that would be super cool. But I do hope that we see something, whether it's a couple of battle plans or a GHB or whatever, because in 3rd edition, one of the really big missed opportunities I felt
was the Seasons of War.
Was well, I think if they had come out with more, because they came out with Seasons of War Thondia, and the rumor is they were going to come out with Seasons of War Gallet, and then it just didn't happen. And then I guess the one, Seasons of War Antwer they could have done. And
then with the one unsolved rumor engine.
Oh yeah,
that hasn't been solved for the longest time.
The supposed Galatian incarnate
looks like a spider.
I think the biggest missed opportunity was leading into 3rd edition. You had this great narrative buildup where you had several things that were of concern to the factions. Right? You had the Cursed Skies, big deal for Stormcast, and then for everybody that sort of relies on a little bit of Stormcast power. You had the establishment or the destruction of Anvilgard and the establishment of Har-Kuron, which now
affects the cities.
It affects cities. It affects Doc. Even Seraphon sort of had a hand in it when it came time to discuss it in the narrative. So it's like, man, you have these big events happen. Teclis and Nagash. All right, so Nagash is defeated, although not destroyed.
Yep, he's reforming.
Teclis is
mortally
victorious, but severely wounded. So
do we ever know what happens to him? Is he?
It hasn't been explained. That's a little plot hook they'll come back to.
Oh, as far as we know, he's
nursing that wound.
Yeah.
But you have all these cool little plot elements, and then when it came to actually playing, they're like, haha, no, you're in Gur. It's like, what, but the Burning Skies and Nagash and Tech. No, be in Gur now.
Kragnos will come hurt you if you don't be in Gur.
Yeah.
And he will hurt you if you do be in Gur. So just go in Gur.
It was really disappointing. There should have been something, even a battle plan where it's like, you have to, it could even have been a narrative battle plan, right? You've got to come in and stop, you're an army coming to smash Nagash's remains to destroy him, and the other army is trying to prevent that.
And it has to be death.
Or, and it's a death army, right? Or, I mean, you could have done any kinds of stuff, but just having some rules like that to say, hey, yeah, remember those cool plot points we had and you were all excited about those stories? Now you can see how they finish on your tabletop. How cool is that? Or you can extend the stories. Or you can at least battle near them and have rules that affect you. And in 3rd edition, they were just like,
no,
go to Gur. Gur's cool. Amberstone. So that
shiny yellow thing.
That was like that. So I would really hope that they don't do that in 4th edition, because Vermindoom is cool.
Also, we can house rule.
Yeah, I mean, we could always make
the
up
power
our own.
Of the
but
house rule.
I'm saying it would be sad if Games Workshop didn't come out and say, hey, this cool event that we have, here's how you can play with it. Yeah, here's how you can see it live on tabletop. We could always house rule, but it would be nice if they leaned into that a little bit, whether through battle plans or GHB or even just some narrative plans. I think something like that would be good. And I mean, you can even do some of Dawnbringers hasn't been as exciting as
maybe the 6th book will just be insane awesome.
Maybe, but hasn't been really as world changing. It's very impactful for these couple of groups, but it hasn't been world defining the way that Broken Realms was. And but there's still stories. There's still stories in them.
Maybe they just got a little tired.
They got a little tired, but I mean, there's still stories in them that you could see reflected. Like you could see a version of you could play a game where the Slaves to Darkness are empowered by Abraxia, and so they get some kind of
maybe Abraxia is
or-
able to swallow the lightning of Stormcast and make them mortal.
Well, I don't think that's part of it. But
I'm just trying to think of things.
I'm just saying, but in the stories, they do have plot hooks, which you could then see on the battlefield if somebody, let you. Made up some rules for that. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Games Workshop.
So I'm really hoping for Vermindoom on the tabletop. Yes,
Yep.
It's a cool story. Yes, it's a cool concept. I like that there's neat art about it and a cool cinematic trailer.
Really cool.
But let's see it impact the actual battles. Because if we have this cool Vermindoom thing going on, everything's awesome, and then they're like, haha, no, you're in
Ugu.
Ulgu.
But
Away from it all.
That's not what happens because the Spearhead boards actually have.
It is
Axie
and Guran, and they do have twists that sort of lean
Follow
into that.
yeah.
So that would be cool, right? But that's Spearhead, and Spearhead seems really fun, and I anticipate we'll be playing a lot of Spearhead.
I watched the live game; it was awesome.
But I would love to see it reflected in a big game as well.
Yeah.
Any final Vermindoom thoughts?
All the rats.
All right, or let us know in the comments below what you think the Vermindoom should look like. Do you want to see it on the table, or is that asking too much? And if you do want to see it, what does it look like for you? This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.